How's it going, everybody? This video is going to walk you guys through week 8. So let's get started here for your engineering design. First thing they're going to talk about is basically criteria B. So at this point, criteria A should be all set and all ready to go. You guys go through your interviews, but before we go through the interviews, we always like to introduce the next, obviously, criteria so that the people who are not being interviewed can continue to work. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. Annotations, criteria. We go over criteria B just like we did last time. Nothing really new here. So now that they're done with the research, they go through their brainstorming, do their decision matrix just like they did before, come up with their 3 ideas, and then they evaluate those ideas and come up with criteria of success. I had a lot of kids fail to do this well last time, so I'd make sure that I go over this a little bit more in detail. I'm going to anyways. Within that, you have present the chosen. So after that, they do their decision matrix, go through their ideas, make up their own criteria, and then just goes over the steps again. And again, developing ideas. They're going to go ahead and make a final sketch that shows the fully assembled view of the object. Aesthetically pleasing, obviously, fully annotated drawing. Have as many dimensions as they possibly can. And this is just going to be basically the flat layout of their design. So this is, I'm going to make another video that kind of walks through the real process of what would actually happen. But this is more or less just to get them the idea that they need to make a flat 2D version of their idea. I'm also going to require that they create a little isometric of what the assembled solution will look like eventually. Totally up to your discretion, but a video coming soon. And then obviously that'll be due the next class Thursday, Friday, January 14th and 15th. So complete the guide, which is inside here as well. Criteria B guide is already there. And then I left a place for the evaluations for criteria A interview as well. Keep going. Wednesday is just a checklist basically for them to keep working on that criteria B just so that they can get the guide done. And then Thursday and Friday, last but not least, is going over criteria C now. So now they should be wrapping up criteria B with their coming up with their final designs, figuring out exactly what they want to build, how they want to build it, and then going over those criteria. So using the criteria C guide, they're going to construct a logical plan of what they're going to do when they're going to do it. So this is where the actual work comes into play, or the design comes into play. So demonstrate the technical skills by working on their final design in Onshape. So in Onshape, what they're going to do is create a 2-dimensional flat version and then just extrude it back the thickness of the cardboard. Again, this will all be explained in my tutorial video, kind of how to do all this. But long story short, they're just making an Onshape, the flat pieces that they're going to do. And then after they're done with each of the flat pieces, especially for criteria C, they are then going to assemble it inside of Onshape. And then they're going to create an exploded view, and then they're going to, and again, all of this is explained in the video as well as in the walkthrough. So if I go back all the way back to current week 7, the guide itself, when we introduce the project details here, it goes through what we kind of expect the portfolio, air quote, to look like. So they're going to have, and this is all in the criteria C guide, each of the guides I've pinned to the overall project details here. So you're going to see here in criteria C guide, basically they walk through and it goes through their logical plan just like last time. They punch in the name of their Onshape document, which will then show the best views for orientation, their isometric, the title block, include the dimensions, and then the justification. So what I'm talking about as far as what they're going to have, the time plan is the same, drawing file for each part, fully dimensional, and then they're going to have an assembly and an exploded view of their 3-dimensional object from the 2D pieces that they create in Onshape. Photos and videos of the physical assembly process. This is with the cardboard. So after they're done with this is all basically Onshape here, the assembly, the exploded view, and the drawing files, and then the photos and videos of the physical assembly are what they're doing with the cardboard. Photos of the finished product itself, and then modifications list with justifications goes back into this criteria C guide. We also put this little computer stand in Fusion, and this is, Bill kind of referenced back to this. This is a really good explanation or view of what the process is and an example of the process of somebody going from a two-dimensional object to create a three-dimensional object. Just the process of what they use in this, and this is Fusion obviously, but it gives you the same idea. So they're taking multiple parts, creating multiple parts, continue to create multiple parts, extruding those parts to eventually create an assembly. Now we want obviously our students to create multiple parts and then put them into an assembly. But again, this is just to get the idea across of the visual representation, using tolerances, using these gaps like you see here, to create puzzle-like features so that they understand, that these pieces have to fit together. They have to create these slots. They have to do all this kind of stuff. So a really good reference video. Thanks, Bill, for kind of preference that. So Flats 3 projects, that's also, I'm sorry, that's all the way back to this week's stuff, just to give you an example. But back to week 8, I believe that's it for Criteria C. Yep, so we're just going to go over that Criteria C, guidelines, what's everything, is good, and then just reference back to Criteria B again, just to say, it's due, should have been already in, the guide should have been already in, your plan should be ready to go, and now they can start into Fusion, hopefully, after they've completed Criteria C's drawing files inside of their notebook. If you guys have any questions, just reach out. Thanks again.